So I decided to work on the Vulcan Rage to level 80, so that way I can give it a fair shot. I mean, currently right now I've got it to A2. I mean, I would love to get it to A3 so that way I can actually benefit from utilizing the buff that I gain, and that would actually help me out in certain situations, since of course in terms of the Battlefield of Time right now, you know, there is a way of getting a good time by actually utilizing the buff itself and not actually actively using the weapon, because, well, as it stands right now, and again this is also from what I'm saying because this is how I look at it, the Eye of Sauron is the better fire weapon. I've just been having way too much success with it over the Vulcan's Rage. I understand that it is a bit of a burst weapon too, of course, but I've tried my absolute best to give the Vulcan Rage some sort of love, and again managed to get it to A2, and I've just not been a fan of it. I mean, I do get that shield protection, which is nice, and again, you know, I understand that with the weapon itself, it really is coming from the explosion. Once I get that, well, I think, was it the concentration power powered up? I think that's what it is. Now they did buff it up a tad bit to give me more damage out of it, so I mean there was that, but ultimately, for me personally, it's this bad boy that really is kind of doing the numbers and pushing through the content in terms of needing that fire attribute. So this is kind of where I kind of left it at, because again, you know, it's been improved, and you know, developers know that it needs to be improved, hence why they pushed this weapon in giving it the buff that it needed. But again, I'm just not feeling it. Again, if I had that A3, I think I would have a much better time. But like I said, in situations like the current Battlefield of Time, you know, people are utilizing the A3 buff to then actually effectively use the other SR weapons for the damage. So I mean, then again, you know, the initial burst that the weapon has, while the shield is in effect, the damage of fire of destruction increases by 40%. See, that's at A5 though, but I've got no desire to get this man to A5. I'm comfortable with the Eye of Sauron, but more importantly, I'm ready for the Phoenix bow to make its presence. Overall, because I've got to do this, I've got to set it, I'm putting Vulcan's Rage to A rank. I am just not. I think out of all of the weapons, out of all the Jinwoo weapons, it is by far my least favorite weapon. And then I think second behind it would have to be the longsword, to be honest. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna do this. Yeah, there we go. Actually, you know what? There we go. Boom. Yeah. That's gotta update it. Gotta just kind of leave it how it is. Now, talking furthermore on the fire weapons, Alpha made a bit of a prediction, which caught my attention. Also, first things first, I did a video talking about Malin Fisher and that how potentially we might get 2 units. Malin Fisher being the new SSR, and then Yosu-hyun will also be an SR. From when Alpha was getting the information, Yosu-hyun is not going to be a water typing. So in terms of her being a unit dropping with Malin Fisher, won't be the case. Is she going to be an SSR? Is she going to be an SR? We don't know yet. From the kit alone, from what I've read, she doesn't seem to come across as an SSR, but again, it's early days. They could, and they probably will, change her up to make her viable to be an SSR. But I'm ready for the next SR when that's going to happen. I'm just calling it how it is. So, you know, we'll see what happens. But we're not here to talk about that. So it seems that there's a prediction from Alpha to say that the Phoenix Soul Bow will be releasing in July, which makes sense since we had the Scatty Pistol in June. They probably won't drop a weapon, but if they go with the schedule, word on the street is that they're actually following through their roadmap now. And if that is the case, then the original story is going to be happening, Tusk will be releasing, and the new weapon, the next new weapon, will be happening in July. Oh, guild content on July. Ooh, okay, that could be interesting. I didn't see that coming. But anyway, coming back to the main attraction, the Phoenix Bow. I have been waiting for this. Now, I've been only waiting for this purely because during the soft launch era of Solo Leveling Rise, this weapon was just coming across as ridiculous in terms of the percentages that they were showing us. With how Solo Leveling is right now, it's okay. I expect it to go higher more. I expect the weapon to actually be somewhat insane, especially with where the game is at right now. So I'll show you guys what we have. Alright, so here's the Phoenix Soul. Now, Alpha found the Phoenix Soul, I think, back in the end of March. So again, this is during the soft launch time. So they could switch things up, clearly, but at the end of the day, it's a fire weapon. and I need some fire support. I need that fire combination. Not to say that, because I mean, here's the thing. I'll be honest. This book kind of works nice with the Eye of Sauron, because I mean, it's kind of dragging them in closer, right? So that way you can actively apply the burst attack. So the AoE of this kind of bringing everyone closer makes it so that this weapon could be used more effectively. So there are some certain combinations that I'm starting to see, of course. I mean, there are also other fire weapons, but as of right now, this is kind of like, in my opinion, the best fire weapon in the game. So here is the Phoenix Bow. We'll take a quick little gander, kind of give a bit of a refresher for me too, so that way I can get a reminder too about the weapon itself. But it is the next fire weapon, and I'm hoping big things for this. I'm curious to see on what the updated version will be looking like. But in terms of the weapon itself, the foundation of it all. So when Phoenix Rapid Fire, which is the skill, if you guys don't know, that's the skill of this weapon. It used the Firebird Soul effect. Is actually, you know what? Let me just go to the end. So let's first things first look at the skills before we actually get into it. So you got the basic attacks. I do expect the percentages to go up. This is the core attack. I do expect the percentage to go up, of course. And then this is the skill, Phoenix Rapid Fire. You're firing 9 shots. On the 9th shot, as you saw right there, a big bird just comes and flies into the enemy, of course, and that's fantastic. So now we've got that out of the way and we know what we're working with. When Phoenix Rapid Fire is used, the Firebird Soul effect is applied every 3rd, 6th, and 9th arrow. So as you saw with the amount of arrows that we fired here, in total we do fire 9 arrows. So on the 3rd, 6th, and 9th, that is when we stack up the Firebird Soul. So in total we're getting 3. When the last attack of the basic attack hits, applies the Firebird Soul effect. Alright, so what the Firebird Soul effect is, the core attack changes to Flame Shot. Increase Flame Shot damage by 50% per Firebird Soul instance, so that's 150%. Stacking it 3 times, which makes sense because you get 3 instances on the 3rd, 6th, and 9th, so there's that. So, and when you use the Flame Shot, clearly you consume all the Firebird Soul's instances, so that's kind of a given. So straight off the bat, it's already giving me Alicia vibes. I feel like this is probably where they might have gotten the idea for her, for the core attack change, possibly. But that's pretty much on, I mean, it's technically the same premise if you really think about it, so there's that. So that's pretty much the Firebird, or the Phoenix Soul bow itself. I feel like this could be something beautiful, and this does also validate the solid foundation gear set for Jinwoo, of course. So there's that. Furthermore, going into the dupe side of things, the first dupe will give you a core gauge increase, so it fills up the core gauge by 34%. Every 3rd, 6th, and 9th arrow of the Phoenix Rapid Fire. So not only are you stacking up your souls, but you're also now effectively powering up the gauge, or filling up, should I say, every 3rd shot. And then A2, as normal, you get the fire increase. A3, this is where things get a little bit more dicey, and kind of also, again, it gives me that Alicia vibes, because on the last attack of the Phoenix Rapid Fire, your Firebird Soul stacks 2 times. So in total, you are now getting 4. Increases the Flame Shot damage by 60%, so that's 180%. And then, yeah, so as I've just said, and then on top of that, you now get 4. Wait, does it consume all of it? Hold on a minute, let me go back. Consumes all Firebird Soul. So if we're getting 4, so that means that 60 is being times 4 times. Okay, so 240 potentially. And then when you max it out, when Flame Shot is used, they regain the Firebird Soul instances that were consumed. So if you had 1 to 3 instances, you gain 1 instance of Firebird Soul. At 4 instances, they gain 2 instances of Firebird Soul. So straight off the bat, it's just providing you that consistency of damage. The user's core gauge also fills to 100%. Okay, so it's not saying anything about it only consumes 3, so it's consuming all 4. So basically, at A3, it's a 240 increase. My God. Okay, well, I didn't remember that. But that is pretty much it. Oh yeah, and then it goes back into the skill. So that is pretty much all that we know of in terms of this Phoenix bow, and this is kind of one of the big reasons why I'm now hyped up for it and I'm ready for it. Because again, it's giving me that Alicia vibes, the consistency between using the skill itself to then correlate into the core attack to do a ton of damage. We know it's going to do a ton of damage. Obviously we can cater to that quite nicely. Tusk is also going to be the shadow that's also going to be supporting us to allowing us to do more core damage. That's going to be fantastic. Ranged fire weapon, we'll take that all day, especially with the Eye of Sauron weapon, so you know, keeping our distance, doing a good amount of damage. But this is, like I said, early days look of this weapon itself, and the way it was coming across was pretty disgusting, especially when we were in the soft launch era of Solo Leveling Arise. The big question is what has changed up for this weapon, and what are the percentages looking like for this weapon? As it stands right now, I said this before, even with the release of the Scatty Pistol, every single Sun Jin Woo weapon that we have, especially with the new ones that they've been releasing, of course, they've all been good, and I'm expecting big things for this weapon itself, because again, out of all the fire weapons, I'm really just in love with that one weapon, being obviously the Eye of Sauron, as I like to call it. Look, I'm a fan of Lord of the Rings, leave me alone. So this is kind of one of the big reasons why I'm actually waiting for this bow. And now, if they are going to be keeping it to the way that it's working, mechanic-wise, for supporting the core damage, getting it to A3, oh, that's going to be beautiful. Like, A3 is when you're maximizing its damage. Oh, they're really pulling us and Alicia on us now. Oh my god. Imagine if they put it to 8-1. Oh my god, that would be beautiful. I would absolutely fall in love with that if they make that happen. But anyway, just want to make sure that everyone's in the loop on the next potential weapon. I say potential, I mean more than likely it will be, because this and the Scatty Pistol were the only two weapons that we knew of. So it was a bit of a 50-50 on which one would come first, and they chose to release the water weapon. So fair enough, probably because of Vulcan's boss fight happening for the Brilliant of Light workshop. But if we are, oh well, the new weapon is going to be coming next month, and if that is the case, I'm ready to elevate that fire attribute. So yeah, this is what I'm waiting for.